And we spoke a little bit on Wednesday, for those of you who were here, we spoke a little bit about the union of love and wisdom, which is really the core of these meetings. And what we have to overcome in order to come into that recognition inside us. And really there are two main things that we have to overcome. One is identity with mind, being caught up in the mind. And whatever the mind says, we believe it, and we're getting our whole sense of identity from our mind. So the first thing we have to do is we have to overcome this strong habit to identify with mind. Because there is an intelligence here inside all of us that is far greater than the mind. It is far more universal than the mind. So the first thing we must do is overcome this habit of believing everything the mind says and getting our sense of identity and our sense of who we are from the mind. Because the mind is just a conditioned set of beliefs. That's all it is. A conditioned set of beliefs that have been kind of not forced into us, but just put into us through parents, through schools, through establishments, etc. And the vast majority of people on this planet, the vast majority of people are fully identified with the mind. And that is why we see so much conflict at the moment. We see so much conflict because everybody believes their minds. And from where they're looking, from where they're seeing, well, they're convinced that is the right position. And on the other side, people who are identified with their minds, they're convinced they've got the right position. So being identified with the mind is a very limited expression. It doesn't give you a universal view. It doesn't really allow you to see things from any other point of view. So first thing is overcoming strong identification with the mind. Just realizing that there is something inside you that is aware of and can witness the mind. And that you begin to get some space between yourself and the mind. And you begin to have some times where you're getting used to resting in that space of no mind. And when you're in space of no mind, what is your experience? And just natural peace is there. Natural stillness is there. Natural spaciousness is there. Natural silence is there. So that is the first thing, overcoming strong identity with mind. And for some people, often for men, that is the most difficult thing, because men very much in their heads. So the first thing is to come from their head down into the body and begin to fully allow yourself to be conscious of what is present inside your body. And for most people, as they come into the body, once they're still enough with themselves, and once they're present enough with themselves, they will often sense what I speak about as the core wound, as a core wound, as that part of ourself which we've tried to cover up. We've tried to cover up through activities or through relationships or through experiences. And as you come into your meditation As you come into your stillness, then at a certain point that is going to reveal itself. What Mr. Tolle spoke about as the pain body, the emotional pain body, and what I often speak about as the wounded inner child. And when that part of ourself arises, what that needs is unconditional love. Unconditional love. We bring the love of presence, the love of God. We bring the love of the being, and we saturate the inner child in that love. We bring that love to the inner child. And that has the effect of just kind of harmonizing our energetic field, so that something inside us then is much more stable, much more at peace. We are not reacting and responding to every situation that kind of doesn't work out how we want it to work out. And we come much more into a state of emotional maturity and spiritual maturity, where it's almost like we just let the world be as it is. Let people be as they are. And you just take care of yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a way of self-responsibility, in a way of just saying, you know, I need to clear up my own mess first. Before I start telling the world what they need to do, I need to clear up my own mess. I need to be at peace in myself. I need to do my own healing. I need to do my own inner child work. I need to bring everything into the light of consciousness. And I have to bring love to that. That is my first, before I start, you know, anything else, let it start with me. Let it start with me. And this is the attitude that really we should take if we're interested in spiritual awakening. Let it begin with me and let it end with me. When your emotional state is stable, and when you're no longer identified with your mind, and you've recognized that there is a deeper presence inside you, a deeper beingness inside you, then stabilize in that. Stabilize in that through just being that, through just resting in your heart, through just being in your right place. And when you are stabilized there, you can begin to look for the very source of that. The very source even of that. Because everything I'm speaking about in the manifest world is seen and known by something which is unmanifest. And when we awaken to the unmanifest realm of consciousness within us, that is the birth of true wisdom. That is the birth of recognizing that there is something here which simply is here by itself. It is before practice. It is before pain. It is before any movement anywhere. It simply is as it is. And that is the realization of wisdom. The realization of who and what we are at our core can never change. In front of it, healing must take place. In front of it, a movement away from mind must take place. But to the true self, to what we are at our core, there's no practice and no path to take. That is just here by itself. And to say it is here by itself implies that it's something. It's not something. But there isn't really the right language to speak about that. So I just do my best just to point at that. But what is so important first, before we even really look to that, is that we stabilize our energetic field in being. Because without this sense of stabilizing ourselves, then self-inquiry, I've seen, just becomes mental for people. You know, people just go up into their heads and they have a lot of clever answers, but the realization isn't there. And this is really where the meditation comes in. The meditation, or the practice of stillness, is just to allow yourself to stabilize in peace, stabilize in stillness, to stabilize in the being. So that when you're speaking about yourself, you're no longer just referring to yourself as the content of your mind or your emotional state, but you're referring to yourself as your deeper presence. You know yourself to be the deeper presence. You know yourself to be this natural sense of stillness. And that is why the meditations are so important here in the meetings, because they kind of, they frame everything else that happens. They frame our meeting so that we just get used to coming here and resting, coming here and being present, coming here and being still, coming here and just being as you are. A simple invitation. It's not like I'm asking you, you know, visualize this, remember that, jump over that, recite this. And this is way simpler than that, way simpler. In fact, this is simplest path, and that maybe is the problem sometimes. People say it can't be so simple, can't be so simple. But as my own teacher, he sometimes says, truth is simple, but the seeker of truth is complex. But truth itself, very simple. Seeker of truth, very complex. But, you know, what to do about that? What to do about that but encourage you to come away from your mind and come to rest in your heart. Because heart is simple.